Hey, this is Mountain Ghost 556. Check it out. What do we got before you? What do we have here? Some of you know what it is, some of you don't. That's fine. I'm going to explain what these all have in common in a second. We have a knife for cutting. I'm going to assume you know that. Carabiner for climbing. A compass for navigation. A multi-tool. Self-explanatory. Light for illumination. Pen and notepad for writing and taking notes. Cooking implements. Everybody likes to cook. That's a cool topic. What do they have in common with one another? Think for about a second. Okay, that was about 3 seconds. They're all tools. And you ask, well, why is he showing me this? I know what they are. And yeah, duh, they're tools. Well, this is a subject matter I want to get into. I think this subject matter is underrated and vastly overlooked in the surviving and prepping community. Why am I bringing this? Well, I haven't seen anybody bring it to the table yet and talk about it. This subject is going to be useful pre-incident, post-incident. It's going to give you skills, and it's going to add value to you by giving you skills. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. And if you want to be honest with yourself in this subject matter, you'll understand maybe this is the one prep you're lacking in. Or maybe not. Okay? So let's get into the subject matter. Tools. Let's talk about tools. Well, I see a lot of preppers, they talk about everything under the sun. I mean, just about everything. Everything from gear to theories and topics. And one thing I think they're lacking, I find that they're lacking, that I haven't seen them actually talk about, and I'm not talking about the homesteaders, because they're always using tools and doing things. But I'm talking about the everyday average, your survivalist prepper type. They never talk about tools. And I've always been kind of fascinated. Why don't they talk about tools? It hasn't happened yet. What are they prepping for? It hasn't happened yet. And it's like they're always prepping for things that haven't happened, but meanwhile, things are happening to them at home, and they're not talking about how they handle everyday life. I'm not saying going into a day-to-day, diary, but they just never talk about tools. Now, it's either because they don't own any tools, and I know a lot of prepper-type people that don't own any tools whatsoever. I know regular people that don't own any tools, and I don't know how anything gets done. But they just don't talk about it. And the importance of tools, they're very important. Like I said, things need to get built, things need to get fixed. But the one important aspect with tools is that once you start using tools, you gain skills that are invaluable. Automotive, electrical, plumbing, carpentry. Once you start learning those skills and stuff like that, they can't be taken away. You can lose all your tools, but you're not going to lose your skills. Now, you got to work on them from time to time because they're perishable. I get that. But they never talk about the basic tools. They'll talk about how they can start a fire in rain. They'll talk about how they can build a shelter in the middle of the mountains. They'll talk about how they can get water from a rotten stream. But, do they have the tools to build a rabbit shed? Do they have the tools to, they can start a fire in the woods out of nothing, but can they repair their furnace at home? Can they, stop that running sink that's costing them all that money, and that toilet that's running, that's literally pushing money down the drain? And they're always like, well, I'm on a budget. But yet they don't know how to fix things that cost them money in the here and now. I think that's funny. Not bashing them. But it's one of those things where you look at it and you got to say to yourself, well, why hasn't this subject been brought up? I think one of the reasons why it hasn't been brought up is because it's not as cool as, look at my gun, pew, 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 or look at my knife, or my backpack. That backpack's cool. Or look at, my $2,000 what majiggy, or this, or catacord. It's not as cool as all those things. It's not. It's just tools. But what is cool is the skills that you get from being able to use tools and being able to make yourself fix and maintain the things that you have, because things do break, and let's say long-term incident. Well, are those skills still applicable? Can you still use those skills? Well, yes, you can, because in a long-term incident, things are going to calm down. things are going to go back to normal. And people are going to coalesce, and things, old technology, this is my wooden spoon theory. Old technologies are going to come back. And things are going to need to be repaired or built. You're double that important. You got all these survival skills and all this stuff, but now you're twice as important, if not 3 times as important, because you have these skills. Even if it's a basic rudimentary skills, you're going to benefit from it. Because you might not be the master of it, but you can help people by putting your time and effort into helping them. Just like right now, learning to fix a car. Hey, your neighbor needs his help fixing his car. That's his sole means of transportation. Hey, can you help him build a fence? Those are skills that you can use in the here and now that can benefit. Versus, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I can't help you fix your car, but hey, you want to watch me start a bow drill fire? You know, it's one of those things that you have to understand. You have to level out what you can do now and what you'll be able to do for an instance that hasn't happened yet. And all of them are fixated on being able to survive because I can survive this. Well, can you fix your car? You know, can you fix your water heater? Can you put a new element in your water heater? Do you even have the tools to do that? That's what I want to impress upon people is you've got to start building skills that you can use in everyday life, not just skills that you're going to use for an apocalypse that hasn't happened yet or some kind of bizarre alien invasion. Now you're going to sit there and go, oh, well, you know, your cordless power drill is not going to work in grid down. Maybe so, maybe not. Okay. And like I said, that's my wooden spoon theory. I'll go into that sometime. It's quite interesting, even from out of my mind. Yeah, but I still know how to use a drill. I know people that don't even know how to use a drill. There's some people I know that don't even know how to change a tire on their car, for heaven's sakes. Just because I don't have my cordless power saw, well, I've been sawing. I know how to cut to length. I know how to cut at angles. I can cut at depth. There you go. There's your answer. A little hard work. So I don't think that, I could be wrong. Maybe some of these preppers just don't care about tools. Or they have enough money to pay people to do things like fix their car or build them an outshed. I don't know. I'm just saying it's never been brought up. It's kind of interesting with all the stuff that they can do that they wouldn't talk about acquiring tools and using them. So do I think it's necessary for people in general, not just preppers and survivalists, to have a good set of tools? And what I mean by a good set of tools, not necessarily the most expensive tools in the market, but a wide variety of tools that can do a wide variety of things. Okay, you got carpentry, plumbing, electrical, all those kind of things. Have those tools so when the time comes, in the now or in the then, you'll be proficient at using them. Don't have to be an expert, but you'll be proficient at using them. I'm not an expert. I'm not a mechanic. I rebuilt the front end of my vehicle. I'm not a plumber, but I stopped a running faucet, a dripping faucet, and a running toilet. Sorry, I got that back. I'm not all those things. But what I am is versed in doing the basics in it and understanding the basics. Now, if I need to know something, or you need to know something, do you have manuals that can tell you what to do? You don't have to know everything, but as long as you have resources, they tell you what to do, tell you how to build things. Okay? Even on your cell phone, you can download, let's see, hold on a second, where is that piece at? Okay, I'm back. You can download apps. Now, I know I've done a video on cell phones and, worst case scenario situations, but let's just bear with me. Your cell phone. Do you have access to apps such as this? This is different screw types, their tolerances and their lengths and radiuses and whatever. I have electrical, carpeting. I have calculators on there that can do all these different things. Do you have access to that information? So when something comes across and you're like, I don't know how to do this. I've got the tools. I know I've got the tools to do it. I don't know how to do it. Do you also have that information? You can bring your skills, your tools, and the information into one and produce something that functions. I just don't know why they don't talk about it. It kind of mystifies me because these are skills you can use now, not just in the then. I guess if you're prone to getting lost in the woods, all that stuff is good. But I think a vehicle in your lifetime is going to break down that you may need to fix before you get lost in the woods. I'm just saying. So you don't have to go buy the biggest and baddest tools out there. Like I said, you can go to get them on sale at certain times of the year. You can go to pawn shops. Don't like pawn shops. They buy low, sell high. I just basically wanted to get that out there. Look at your tools. Do you have the tools for the projects you may need to do? Do you have tools at all? Do you know even how to use the tools? I mean, I remember one time my mom bought my dad a table saw. It was the funniest thing. Absolute funniest thing, because my dad, he wouldn't lift a wrench or a hammer. Like I said, that was back, when I was a kid. My mom used a table saw more than my dad did. I wish I had that table saw now. It was a really good one. So, do you have tools? Well, I'm going to cut this short here in a second, but you can go and buy a cheap set like this. I got this for my girlfriend's son. He's 8 years old. I want to start him out young, working with semi-decent tools, so he can work with his hands and start learning how to use tools. Because in his generation, he's 8. I don't think many kids even know what a wrench is. But I got this toolkit. Like I said, it's cheap from Walmart, $12. If you don't have money, you can even get yourself something like this. That's cheap and will get basic things done. You're not going to rebuild an engine. You're not going to build a house. You can get basic things done. Huh. You know what? I'm proud of the little fella. He's had this thing for almost 8 months, and he hasn't lost anything. Man, I know a lot of adults that get one of these kits. They lose parts to it like the same day. Yes, I'm talking about myself too. So, get some tools. Start using them. Start learning how to develop the skills so when a time comes, you have those skills you need. Small things like picks is inexpensive. And then start doing projects. I'm getting ready to get a 2-stroke engine, a junk 2-stroke engine, and me and her son are going to take it apart. Does it matter if it ever runs again? No, but I'm still physically taking it apart, seeing the components. You never know when you might need to rebuild or work on a 2-stroke engine. A lot of bikes nowadays have those little engine thingies on them. Just for fun. It's not a necessity that I do it, but it's something that I want to do because I believe that I could gain a lot of useful knowledge out of it. Okay, well, this is Mountain Ghost 556. I'm telling you, get some tools. Acquire it piece by piece if you have to. Get them and start using them. Become self-sufficient. Isn't that what all the survival and preppers, isn't that what they strive for? Self-sufficiency, reliance on no one but themselves. But yet, a lot of them can't really do work around the house, on the car, or build something. Okay, but for the ones that can, I'm not talking to you. All right, Mountain Ghost